So you say you want sole custody of your kids in the divorce. I get that a lot in consultations. But do you know what joint or sole custody means? Hi, I'm Gerald Maggio, Orange County Divorce and Family Law Attorney, and in this video I'm going to explain exactly what child custody is all about. First of all, it's important to understand there are two types of custody. There's legal custody and there's physical custody. Let me explain legal custody first. Legal custody has to do with who makes the decisions regarding the health, education, and welfare of a child. And that means making decisions regarding where a child goes to school, what medical treatment a child gets, and so on. There are two types of legal custody. There is sole legal custody and there's joint legal custody. Sole legal custody means one of the parents has the sole decision-making authority regarding a child's health, education, and welfare. Joint legal custody, which is generally ordered in most cases, has to do with both parties have to meet and confer and make joint decisions regarding a child's health, education, and welfare. The general reason why a court does not order joint legal custody is where the court determines that that arrangement is not in that child's best interests. California Family Code Section 3003, which explains joint legal custody, doesn't really define exactly what the specifics of joint legal custody are. It is always my recommendation in any custody case, whether that's a divorce or just parties had a child together and aren't married, that you spell out exactly what joint legal custody means so that both parties understand and agree to it if you're coming to an agreement regarding it. The reason why I recommend that is because otherwise the parties really don't know what they're supposed to be agreeing on, what they're supposed to be able to discussing, and that can create problems because it is too vague if you don't spell out what that means. So I'm going to explain some of the factors of what joint legal custody orders should say. Joint legal custody orders should spell out the rights and responsibilities of both parties regarding, for example, selection of a school for a child and if there's going to be any move from that child to another school. Both parties should be agreeing on that that is part of joint legal custody. Number two, that includes decisions regarding participation of a child in religious institutions and practices. Number three, that includes the beginning and selection of mental health professionals for a child for therapy and so on. Number four, this can include the selection of a doctor or a dentist or other professional regarding treatment for a child in need of certain type of care. We're generally talking about non-emergency situations. Both parties have the right to take whatever action they need to in an emergency situation for medical care for a child. So that's the exception that we're talking about. Otherwise, they need to talk together and come to an agreement regarding medical treatment for a child in non-emergency situations. Number five, regarding joint legal custody issues is the child's participation in extracurricular activities. There generally needs to be a consensus and agreement regarding those types of activities. Number six is out-of-state or out-of-country travel. Out-of-country travel involves a lot of other issues to consider, so there should be a joint agreement regarding that because what it's really dependent on is where is the child going to go? Do the parties agree on the child being able to go with the other parent to that country? In the event of a disagreement where the parties just cannot agree on some of these major issues, they should attempt to mediate that. You can also seek to do that through the court, but if otherwise you can do it informally. If you cannot come to an agreement, that's what the court's there for. That's when you're going to want to get legal advice. That's when you're probably potentially going to get an attorney involved to address this so that you're leaving it up to the court to come to an agreement. So let me now discuss physical custody. There's two types of physical custody. There's sole physical custody and there's joint physical custody. Sole physical custody is when one parent is attributed to be the primary parent and the other has rights to visitation. Joint physical custody is where both parties share a significant amount of time with the children, such that they have frequent and continuing contact with the children. That's the legal concept. What does that mean? There's no actual definition of what frequent and continuing contact means, but generally, oftentimes judges consider where one party has at least a 30% timeshare with the children. That's joint physical custody. In making an order for joint physical custody, a court may order one party's residence to be the primary residence of the child for school jurisdiction purposes. These are just the basics of child custody, but it's important to understand them. There are definitely more topics to cover regarding child custody, and we'll be doing so in future videos. If you're facing a divorce or know somebody who's going to, Please contact our firm for a free consultation to discuss your rights and next steps. If you like this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at the end of this video for more helpful and informative videos about divorce and child custody issues. See you next time.